Well, I'm glad everybody's having such a good time. It's good to see all these smile faces, the ones you can see anyway. So, if you will, please call roll.
You're up here. Oh, you guys are switched. Sorry. You have this.
Call roll.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dan, that's,
I didn't see my name down there.
there you go.
Okay, I'll call roll. Mr. Brewster?
Here.
Mr. Barwick? Mr. Barwick?
Here.
Mr. Hughes? Here. Mr. Gaddis?
Here.
Mr. Zelf? Here. Mr. Dillingham? Here. Mr. Holder? Here. Mr. Mabry?
Here. If you would, please stand for the invocation with Barry Bolton as well as the Pledge of Allegiance to follow. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Robert, you want
JD, if you'll please do the introduction of guests.
Thank you, sir. We should just add them to our roll call, but Laura McIver and James Deach are here from Quail Forever. Thank you all for being here. Troy Flax, Richard Hatcher, president of the Wildlife Foundation, Roger Gaddis, Susie Brewster. Also saw Rick Grunman come in. He's the director of the foundation. And last but certainly not least, the man of the day, John Grondike. So there he is. Thank you. Really strange to see you on that side of the horseshoe.
JD, if you do the presentation awards.
Yeah, we have no tenure awards for this month, or at least none that wanted to be publicized. So we're ready for the minutes.
In consideration and vote to approve, amend, and reject other actions on the minutes. Need a motion?
Got a motion from
Okay,
Barwick
second.
and second from Hughes.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Brewster?
Aye.
Mr. Barwick? Mr. Hughes? Mr. Gaddis? Aye. Mr. Zelf? Mr. Dillingham? Mr. Holder? Mr. Mabry?
Yes. Director's report, JD.
Thank you, sir. So you have two reports, one from Brittany Preston on the federal front. I'll let you go through that. Most of the action in Washington, D.C., if there is such a thing as action in Washington, D.C., has been on the COVID front and various stimulus packages, and she outlines that action. On the wildlife side of things, I do want to point out that since our last commission meeting, Fish and Wildlife Service announced that they will downlist the American burying beetle from endangered to threatened. And so that is going to provide great relief to especially the oil and gas industry in our state that had, if they were operating in eastern Oklahoma at least, had to mitigate for all those exploratory actions. So that definitely is noteworthy in her report, and you'll see a couple of other things there as well. So as we turn to the director's report, you will see 5 pages of activities as has happened throughout the course of COVID. The department and our staff have been busier than ever before by far, as more and more people take to the outdoors, and that's a good thing for us. We've also been able to kick off some great things since the last meeting. At the last meeting we mentioned it, and we actually did it, and it went great. Kicking off our Fostering Outdoor Oklahoma Families program, the partnership with DHS to get foster kids and their families outdoors fishing. We ended up having about 30 kids come to South Lakes Park, and staff did a wonderful job putting it all together, as did DHS staff. Thanks to the foundation for providing some money for the event to buy tackle kits, as well as buy fishing licenses for any parents that pledge to take those kids fishing beyond that event. And local fire and police unions also came and provided a cookout, plus bought fully outfitted Zebco 33 fishing rigs for all of them as well, for them to take home. So it was an amazing event. It was such an amazing event that foundation member Blake Shelton was struck by what happened and asked us to bring 5 foster kids out that following weekend to his ranch to go catch bass out of his what he termed overstocked pond. He was starting to see some stunted growth, so those kids gladly obliged. And once again, the foundation kicked in, provided fishing kits for those kids. Everybody on staff and everybody I know wanted to volunteer to help with that one, but Blake Shelton strictly limited participation to the kids, their parent, and a few of us that could handle showing them how to fish. Plus, at that event, he thought it was important that we also show them how to fillet those fish out and put them on the fryer and eat them for lunch. So they got to go from hook to mouth, so to speak. And thanks in particular to Nels and Wade for doing all the heavy lifting on the filleting and frying side of things. I did all the fish catching, but good times. So awesome event, awesome kickoff. We are going to have another one October 10th at Perry CCC Lake. There's several lakes around Perry. So at the Perry CCC Lake on Saturday, October 10th at 1 o'clock, we're going to be working with Senator Hall. He's already got a bunch of sponsors lined up for it, I think, and pull off one more of those before it gets too cold to really get the foster kids out fishing. And then our plan is to spend sort of the dormant season, if you will, the cold weather season, really working with DHS behind the scenes to be able to set these up across the state and have local sponsors be able to kind of take it over. As you can imagine, if we tried to do this throughout the state, working out with staff out of Oklahoma City office, that'd be all we would be doing. So we'll be working with local DHS offices, I'm sure game wardens there at the local level, local biologists, and then those that, want to host. I know Commissioner Gaddis already mentioned that she would love to host an event down in her neck of the woods. So that's what we'll be working on. We had a successful Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies annual meeting online, although it was 5 days and sitting in front of a computer screen, participating in meetings via Zoom. So several of us were ready for a big break after that, for sure. The Commission Rules Committee will meet October 13th to review the 2021 rule proposals. I know Commissioner Barwick's ready for that. We'll get ready for that. And then the SEFWA, the Southeast Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies annual meeting, will be online this year, October 25th through the 28th. Legislatively, there's not a lot going on, so there's no need to kick it over to Corey. In fact, she's just tuning in from her office upstairs, so she doesn't crowd the room. But there have been some interim studies going on, nothing that really impacts the Department of Wildlife to date. On the human dimensions side of things, there's several surveys that will be kicked off out of the Human Dimensions Office. There's a private land survey that will be going out asking private landowners about land management practices. We're also doing a survey for controlled hunts and foundation hunts. It's a preference survey, so when we, not if we, but when we next spring roll out our controlled hunts, which is what we typically do, we'll have some new options added to that. That will be some sort of bigger time raffle hunts. So the idea behind this survey is to kind of get a feel for what people are willing to pay for those raffle hunts and what types of hunts they'd like to see over others, which ones might bring more money than others. And so we'll be really interested in the survey results that'll help us make informed decisions next spring. And there's a conservation passport holder survey that will go out to better understand the activities and purchasing intentions of our passport holders, as well as ask them questions about foundation wildlife watching opportunities. So as the foundation thinks about sort of non-hunting, fishing, wildlife watching opportunities, that'll give us a feel for what people are really interested in. Our Human Dimensions folks also began an interesting project related to our ODWC's hiring and connecting with students at Oklahoma universities about why they do or do not apply for jobs with us. So that's going to help us inform our HR department on what we can do better, how we can improve on the recruitment side of things, even though we continue to have pretty strong showing every time we have a job announcement go out. So just an opportunity for us to kind of think ahead and see how we can do it better. You can see there, fish stocking continuing to go on. In fact, it'll be ramping up in the over the course of November, in particular on the trout side of things. That becomes heavy trout stocking time for fisheries. Durant State Fish Hatchery is progressing through phase 2B construction. Channel and blue cat surveys were conducted on reservoirs statewide. In fact, I think we had some commissioners participate in a catfish wrangling of some sort, if I recall. Angler surveys on Texoma continue. It's a collaboration that we have with Texas Parks and Wildlife. And in I&E division, our Don Brown and Michael Bergen in particular, but a lot of the information staff have been busy with emails and news releases. Of course, we're now into hunting season big time, and so a lot of really nice targeted email campaigns going out to various interest groups, making sure they're getting their licenses, getting what they need, and trying to make sure that they get engaged. Also encouraging antlerless harvest, which is a big campaign of ours this year, particularly in western Oklahoma. CWD, reminders of our new rules if you're hunting out of state, and reminding our constituents that the outdoors are always open, which is a campaign we launched in the spring when COVID started. So Damon Springer conducted our first ever virtual hunting course with lots of people not being able to show up to in-person training and stuff. They're able to tune in online and get some tips. I actually tuned into that one and learned a couple of things myself, even though I've been shooting a shotgun almost all my life, but a couple of pointers here and there never hurts. And the I&E division proudly represented the agency at the annual competition awards program for the Association for Conservation Information. So our I&E division won first place. This is national awards for photography, first place for social media campaign, first place for internal communications, second place for graphics design, and third place for best social media presence in the country. So kudos to the I&E division for raking in the awards. That's all good stuff. Number of people participated in the AFWA virtual conference. During the conference, ODWC was recognized by the RBFF, the Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation, as one of only 2 states who have grown the fastest in our fishing R3 planning capacity and strategy over the past year. So kudos again to I&E for implementing that. Lots of work going on with online hunter education. We've really kind of downplayed and minimized the in-person hunter ed, although we've continued to deliver it for those that need it. But we're seeing a huge uptick in online hunter ed, as you can imagine, and we'll see even more of that over the course of the next couple of months as we really ramp up to deer rifle season. Let's see if, our own Micah Holmes was recognized during the AFWA Awards among 30 members of the National R3 Implementation Work Group with the 2020 Special Recognition Awards. We appreciate Micah's participation in that national group. And our video crew has been cranking out not just Outdoor Oklahomas, but lots of good snippets on the YouTube channel, bite-sized videos, if you will, that tend to play more to the younger generation of folks that might not sit through an entire TV show, but they'll jump on YouTube and watch 10 minutes of muscle surveys and fall hiking and hunter ed. And they're now working with the private lands team to develop a series of landowner videos as well. So we're looking forward to the outcome of that. That'll be designed for private landowners to be able to go on and get little tips and snippets and things, and as well as ideas for how we can help them. Wildlife Division, as you can imagine, has been busy, ramping up and preparing for all the hunting seasons that are kicking off, burning over 4,000 acres, doing surveys of deer, turkey, bear, and quail, manipulating water levels in wetland units, in preparation for teal season, food plot planning, area maintenance, on and on and on. So thank you, Wildlife Division, for getting ready for what we hope will be an onslaught of hunters this fall and winter. Also, the wildlife management area staff continues their work entering data into GIS. And of course, one of the big outcomes of the strategic plan was that we're going to develop GIS-based WMA plans for all of our WMAs. So, where every little management activity happens and what needs to happen, and prioritize the things that need to happen on each WMA across the future. Plus, it'll be transferable. So if somebody moves on to a different WMA or they retire, leave, whatever, somebody else can pick up that GIS-based WMA plan and just keep running with it. So we're really looking forward to the completion of everybody getting all that data uploaded and online, and it'll be a really good way for us. Plus, help us prioritize infrastructure improvements, Commissioner Barwick, like where we need bathrooms, that kind of thing. So August roadside quail surveys were completed and data analyzed, and you probably saw the report already. And tell Judkins is going to be fired, only 1 year on the job as the quail biologist, because it wasn't pretty. Give you till October. One more count. You got one more count. No, the preliminary numbers, of course, August is the real preliminary numbers, and is often it's never quite as accurate as the October count. So preliminary numbers actually are up in some portions of the state. I like looking at that ecoregion report because there was, I forget which ecoregion was up 400% from last year or something like that. But overall, statewide, we're down versus last year for quail. So not good news again. But we'll see what happens in the October count. Keep praying. And lastly, in Law Enforcement Division, Lieutenant Casey Young made a really good case on a taxidermist down in his area. They seized about 150 heads, some of them over 10 years old. Most of these will end up being legal and returned to their rightful owner, but you can imagine being the person that had their mount at the taxidermist for 10 years waiting on it to be returned. So anyway, congrats to him. And that's it. Be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. Thank you,
There being no
Mr. Chairman.
questions, thank you, JD, appreciate
sir.
that. Next will be the August 31st financial statement presented by our CFO, Amanda Stewart. Amanda?
Good morning. I'm gonna see if I can get this clicker to work today. I was told it was not my fault, so just letting that be for the record.
Now's the
If we
true
could-
test.
We could put that on the record, yep. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Director Strong. Today I have for you the August 31st financial statement. And as soon as I say that I can do this. I did. Okay, it was warming up. Okay. Make sure that we're on the same one. Okay, so our combined balance sheet for August 31st for all fund types has a liability balance for the end of the month of $449,083,047. Total liability balance of $17,022,901 for a total liability and fund balance of $449,083,047.
Our combined balance sheet for all trust funds has a total balance of $248,406,407. That's made up of our expendable trust, our non-expendable trust, our pension trust, and our DC trust. Compared to last year, of $229,690,914, we're slightly up from last year. Our combined statement of revenues and expenditures and changes in fund balance for the month of August 31st, we have total revenues of $9,255,294, total expenditures of $11,793,372, and our ending fund balance is $41,344,864. Our combined statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. For our non-expendable trust, our operating revenue is $233,925. Our pension trust operating revenue, $9,715,260. Our DC trust, $460,797. So our total for the month is $10,409,982. And our total fund balance, including all investments and all funds, is $224,087,908 compared to last year of $210,566,048. And then we have one contribution, total of $7,979 from NWTF.
Anybody have any questions? Amanda? Motion approved, second. Further discussion? There being none, please call roll.
Commissioner Brewster.
Aye.
Commissioner Barwick. Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Gaddis. Commissioner Zelf. Commissioner Dillingham. Commissioner Holder. Commissioner Mabry.
Aye. Next on the agenda will be the presentation of the Landowner of the Year Award for 2020, Trapper Farms, Bill Dinkins. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. It is a pretty exciting time of year. You can tell by the audience and the energy in the room. October 1st is a big time for a lot of us, and this cold weather and everything going on is just kind of an exciting time to see the pictures coming in. But
Plus, everybody's showing off stuff on their iPhones.
yeah, that too. So, so this morning, we're going to recognize our Landowner of the Year. And as we all know, 95% of Oklahoma is privately owned. So we know it's important to not only engage, but partner with, and today recognize a landowner for doing great work. So a little background on our Landowner of the Year program. We started it in 1989. We solicit nominations from all divisions, starting in May and June. This year we received 3 nominations. Committee of the regional supervisors, Russ Horton and myself, review and rank them, and then make the final recommendation up to Wade and JD. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Kyle Johnson, who's our private lands biologist for central part of Oklahoma, who not only nominated this year's winner, but will give us a presentation and show his great accomplishments. Kyle?
Somebody help me pull up the presentation. No one prompted me how to do this. All right, we figured it out. Well, thank you, Bill, and thank you, commissioners, for a bit of your time today. It's an honor for me to be here and it's an honor for me to introduce Trepper Farms as ODWC's 2020 Landowner of the Year Award recipient. Trepper Farms was purchased in 2015 by co-owners Troy Flax and Pepper Martin. Their 320-acre property is located in the heart of the Cross Timbers Major Land Resource Area in Pottawatomie County. Prior to their purchase in 2015, the property suffered from dense, closed canopy hardwood cover and grassland and savanna habitats that were being invaded by eastern red cedar trees. One of the first calls made by Troy Flax was to the Wildlife Department to seek guidance on what can be done, what should be done, and where to start. They've also received guidance from the Natural Resource Conservation Service, the Oklahoma Forestry Services, and Noble Research Institute for various other projects. One of the first projects undertaken by the owners was a pond renovation project. The pond dam had washed out on this pond here, and rather than just fix the pond dam, they decided to renovate it from 1/2 acre in size to nearly 3 acres in size. They also added an abundance of fish habitat in the form of sunken trees and gravel beds, and restocked the pond with bluegill, channel catfish, and largemouth bass. Of course, with any pond renovation project can come erosion concerns as well, but the owners did a great job addressing this through seeding and planting, and their efforts paid off as it restored the pond's water clarity. Other smaller ponds on the property also received attention through fish stocking and other improvements, including this one here that they manage as a watering hole for mourning dove. And when it fills with water, it backfills into a created shallow water seasonal wetland for attracting waterfowl and other water birds. All of their ponds on the property have received fish habitat work, especially sunken trees and gravel beds. Prescribed burning is a top priority for Troy, and the Department of Wildlife played a huge role in helping him establish fire guards across his property as he received cost share assistance through the department's Wildlife Habitat Improvement Program. And our WIP program is very popular across the state, and it's one that we use to help fund landowner habitat projects on about 25 projects each year. Troy's completed numerous burns on the property, thanks in part to the Land Run Prescribed Burn Association, which he is a member of. As I said earlier, his grassland and savanna habitats were being threatened by invading eastern red cedar trees, but the owners addressed this through an aggressive cedar removal program, and to date they have enhanced or restored about 77 acres of grassland and oak savanna habitat. But their grassland work wasn't done there, as they desired to daylight some of their interior roadways. They removed all the cedar trees along these roads, and they also removed a lot of their hardwood cover along these roadways. In essence, they created a nice, smooth, feathered transition from their forest into their grassland habitats. Several bobwhite coveys are present on the property, and they're often observed within these daylighted roadways. Dense forest cover was more the norm on the property when they purchased it, and even though their work is still ongoing with their forest habitats, they have enhanced about 25 forest acres through the creation of forest openings and through forest thinning. They've also enhanced several potential wild turkey roosts through tree clearing and brush removal. Of course, food plots can be a very attractive addition to a property, both for wildlife and for hunting purposes. And the owners work about 10 acres of food plots each year. They plant both warm season and cool season species to provide year-round food options. and they did a great job in getting their soil tested to try and maximize the benefit of these plots for wildlife. Perhaps one of the greatest visions that Troy Flax and Pepper Martin had when acquiring the property was to share it with others. Not a single acre of the 320 acres is leased for hunting or any other outdoor activity. Instead, they freely share it with family and friends. Trepper Farms also hosts about 10 youth events annually, as each owner has a passion to get today's youth outdoors and to educate them on hunting, fishing, skeet shooting, and other outdoor activities. But their conservation efforts doesn't stop with Trepper Farms, as in part or combined, they are members of several conservation organizations where they have been table sponsors at several events. Their impact on today's youth also extends far beyond Trepper Farms, as they have combined to coach youth soccer, track, football, basketball, and baseball. In closing today, it's been a great honor for me to get to know and work with Troy Flax and Pepper Martin. And it's also an honor for me to nominate Trepper Farms for this distinguished award. And I welcome you to join me in recognizing Trepper Farms as ODWC's 2020 Landowner of the Year.
And your thoughts?
First, on behalf of Pepper Martin, my partner, we're partners in this deal, who couldn't make it. Monday's a work day, and so somebody had to stay at work. We're partners at work also, and so he stayed at home to keep the fort down and I guess keep the lights on. So he sends his appreciation also. I want to thank our families, second, who have always afforded us the time to go out there, get things done, and also for coming and spending. We've created some fantastic memories out there. That's what this place is about. So they've been real instrumental in this. And then third, I want to thank you guys. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife, you've given us some funds, and we've used them to get things done. I told Pepper, I saw your guys' newsletter one day, and it had the Landowner of the Year, and I told my partner, I said, we should shoot for that. And here we are, right? And when I told Kyle that, I said, I'd really like to, and you'll notice that it says Trepper Farms, right? It's not Troy Flax and Pepper Martin. This isn't a vanity thing for us. We have a tremendous amount of passion for that land out there, for this state, for what you guys do. So it just reaffirms to us that we are doing things right. You guys have given us grants. We want you to know that we have put those to good use. And our main goal is just to be a great steward of the land. So on behalf, and I want to thank Kyle, right? He has helped us a ton out there. I always get off the phone or after a visit, and I always think that old line about, there's no such thing as a dumb question, right? I'm quite sure after Kyle has left, he's probably thought, I don't know if that exists. But I've asked him everything. I've worked with others. I've had some great conversations with some of the other private land biologists out there this morning. And, you guys truly have a passion for what you're doing. So I want you to know that the other thing I told Kyle is, between Pepper and I, we've won a fair amount of awards, just as everybody does throughout our careers and lifetime. And honestly, this is up there. This is one of the top things that we've ever been awarded. So it means a lot to us. And with everything that's going on, it's always great to see other people that take a passion and an interest, and then the other side where the people that put in all the hard work behind the scenes to help us make our facilities better. So we appreciate it. And I want you to know that we'll continue. This isn't a one-year deal for us. I don't know if you can win it more than once. But maybe someday I'll be back up here again and I'll bring Pepper. But I'm telling you, we are truly grateful. And what you guys do for the state and for landowners just can't be matched. So thank you very much, and we're truly honored.
Thank you, Bill and Kyle, for that presentation. Very well deserved. Next on the agenda is the private lands program. And I think, Bill, you're back up.
All right, thanks again. So, this agenda item I'm pretty excited about also. As many of you have heard me say, with supervisor approval, one of the things that when I took over as chief of wildlife, I thought we needed to do was create a private land section, which we did. We got a great team of staff. I believe they're all in the room now. The goal, though, to me is pretty simple. You got to build a trusting relationship with landowners, and in that relationship will come a partnership for wildlife conservation. As we've already talked about today, with 95% of the state private ownership, we must work with private landowners to manage wildlife. So at this point, I'm going to introduce Josh Richardson. He's our brand new private land supervisor, who he has a presentation for us about the private lands program, as well as going to introduce all our great staff.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you all for your time here today. Like Bill said, I'm Josh Richardson. I'm the supervisor for our private lands section in the Wildlife Division. So who are we? I'm going to run through here real quick. You all have some of these handouts at your seats as well, along with our landowner newsletter. It'll have their contact information, but run through on the map here real quick. So we're a staff of 7, and I'm kind of trying to keep the helm on this. So real quick, in the Northwest, we have Brett Cooper. So Brett's back there in the back corner. He handles those Northwest counties. In the North Central part of the state, we've got Kyle Johnson. You just saw him, but Kyle. In the Northeast part of the state, we have Rosalie Walker up here in the front. In the Southeast, we have Leah Lowe back here in the back corner. And then in the Southwest portion of the state, we have Lauren Ald, or here just very recently, Lauren Johnson. Not Kyle and Lauren, but yeah, it's Lauren Johnson. Also under private lands, we house what's called the Oklahoma Land Access Program, or OLAP, as y'all may have heard it before. So overseeing that, we have Jeff Tibbetts, right there he is on the sidewall there. And helping him out, we've got Jason Rockwell in the back corner there. We'll get into it later. We've also got a new grant that just started up here at the first of the month. Within that grant, we have the funding for an additional technician, but we have not filled that one out yet. So we're up to almost fully staffed. All right, so the department just went through a new strategic plan. We have a new mission statement. We manage and protect fish and wildlife along with their habitats, while also growing our community of hunters and anglers, partnering with those who love the outdoors, and fostering stewardship with those who care for the land. Well, that fits pretty good with our private land section, I think. why we work in private lands? Well, we work cooperatively with landowners to realize their goals for their property while providing quality habitat for Oklahoma's wildlife and fish. We work in partnership with wildlife organizations to improve habitat quality, and we provide access for our hunters and anglers. All right, what do we do? Well, as you might guess by the name of the section, we do private lands. Like Bill said, as 95% or more of Oklahoma is privately owned, it would be completely unreasonable with a staff of 7 or even 70 that the department could really actively manage that large of a percentage of the state. But what we can do is educate, assist, and influence landowners across the state in order to not only help them reach some of their own personal goals, but also to impact ecoregions and statewide populations, which helps everyone across the state, both public and private landowners and land users. So some of the things we do is technical assistance, conservation delivery, additional access, and outreach. So technical assistance, what do I mean in that? So one of the biggest things we can do is just to provide the insight and guidance that a landowner may not have on the topics of wildlife and habitat management. Okay, knowledge is power, and basically we seek to empower landowners. We provide general assistance on request throughout the state and cover all taxa of wildlife, fish, plants, anything out there. All right, many landowners feel they ought to be doing something, but a lot of them don't do anything because they don't know what to do. So again, we kind of try to fill in that knowledge gap. So when we get contacted by a landowner, we'll visit by phone, do what we can to provide information that way. We really prefer to meet landowners, actually see their place in person, see all the little nuances of the topography, the habitat, all of that. We'll walk through, we'll talk with them, we'll prepare maps and documents that will help guide them in their future endeavors. And if you're looking for more information, you can find us on the website. There's our address. So some of the things that we provide in technical assistance would be guidance documents like this one on constructing a fire break, little diagram for how to put a fire break in alongside a road, or field notes, just kind of documents the property as we saw it, some of the current deficiencies and things that we would suggest for a landowner to improve their property. Conservation delivery, that's another of the things that we do. And by this, I mean the stuff that actually makes a physical difference on the landscape. We accomplish this primarily through various cost share programs, like the Wildlife Habitat Improvement Program, or WHIP, our in-house program, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Partners for Fish and Wildlife Program, various NRCS and FSA programs, and programs through other organizations and nonprofits. These programs provide economic incentive for the landowners. Basically, landowners will conduct a habitat management practice and then receive reimbursement after we verified completion. Our staff helps to develop the agreements for these. We verify the completion of a project, and we process the claims and monitor the follow-up. So for our in-house WHIP program, Kyle kind of mentioned it when he was going through his program, but the Wildlife Division tries to earmark about $100,000 each year to fund the WHIP program. When we partner that and use other of these programs, we can expand that out, leverage it out. So for 2020, in our WHIP agreements, we have almost 6,900 acres of projects on the books, adding up to about $245,000 of work. And some of our projects come from these TA visits. So, someone will call us just with a question, we'll come out and visit, and then it'll roll into one of these programs. Others come from the website or just word of mouth, a neighbor that's had a good experience, and then shares the word and they get in touch with us. So this just gives you a 5-year map of some of our activities and where they're spread out across the state. Couple of caveats on here. First off, in this far far northwest portion, it may look a little bit blank in there. This map only covers, like I say, our WHIP and technical assistance activities. It doesn't really cover our prairie chicken focal area. So while it may look blank up there, Brett has been running several tens of thousands of acres of projects that just weren't captured in this particular mapping database. The other thing that I'll cover is the 5-year period that this entails. We were definitely not fully staffed. In fact, a lot of years in there was maybe 2 people in private lands covering this entire state. So again, now that we're fully staffed up, ready to really hit the ground running, we actually expect this map to be covered in much greater coverage there. Additional access, another of the focus points for private lands. So again, we've got the Oklahoma Land Access Program, or OLAP. The department has received a grant from the USDA NRCS called the Voluntary Public Access Grant Program. With those funds, basically what it boils down to is we lease private lands and then turn around and open it for public access. And within that, we have different access levels. So some we open for hunting, some for fishing, some just for wildlife viewing. Basically just trying to get some additional opportunities for our sportsmen and women across the state. I currently have about 80,000 acres enrolled. And again, you can find more information on our website there. Again, here's a map showing our current properties. Like I said, we just started a new grant in the first of this month, October 1 here. The original grant primary focus was on antelope and pheasants. So as you can see, we've got a large coverage in antelope and pheasant country. This current grant was focused more on primarily close to home opportunities. So trying to get around metro areas. As you might imagine, properties right next to Oklahoma City or Tulsa are going to be pretty difficult to get. But if one comes open, we'll definitely be jumping on it. Our intention is to kind of try to focus on sort of an area west and northwest of Oklahoma City, between Oklahoma City, Enid, Lawton, kind of try to fill in some of that area over there where we don't have much for WMAs and where we have a good opportunity to pick up some parcels. Again, we're not looking for trophy type areas. We're looking for areas where new hunters can get out, grab a shotgun, grab a bow, grab whatever, get out and just enjoy some of the outdoors. So again, kind of hitting some of that ag country out there for some dove opportunities, some small game opportunities, all of that. So here's some pictures from our OLAP areas. Again, trying to cover a variety of habitats out there. And again, we also do some fishing areas. Like I said, the first grant was focused mainly on pheasant and antelope opportunities. But as we move forward, we're going to be trying to pick up some areas that will be used more for just general hunting opportunities closer to metro areas. And then outreach, one of the last focal areas for our section. Again, there at your seat, you should have a copy of our newsletter as well as our wildlife habitat management calendar. Our newsletter has a subscription. It goes out both digitally and in print. We've got a subscription of about 10,500 people. The habitat calendar is printed out annually and goes out both in the January issue of the Outdoor Oklahoma magazine, so just as an inset within the magazine, and then it's also printed individually and provided at field days, sent to our hard copy subscribers for the Landowner newsletter, all of that. The calendar goes through and helps landowners kind of identify what habitat management practices could be conducted through the various months of the year. We also try to provide opportunities for landowners to get out, make it to field days, demonstrations. We try to be involved in organizational meetings like the Oklahoma Prescribed Burn Association, Quail Forever, basically getting out, making sure that that we have a voice and help guide some of these organizations to wildlife-friendly practices. And then public presentations, Rotary clubs, schools, all of that. We really like to try to conduct some of these field days on our WMAs. Again, it kind of connects the local landowners with some of our in-house professionals. So here we have a WMA or a field day at Spavinaw WMA. So we've got Russell Perry, Tony Crawford up there. Again, getting out, letting landowners see how our professionals get out there and do it. Field day at Caw. One at Cooper. Down in the southeast, down at Pushmataha. Again, just getting out there, connecting landowners, like I say, with our very expert personnel in our regional areas. And then one of the last things, it's not exactly a focal thing, but it's something that we have the privilege of doing. It's our private lands youth deer hunts. We provide some special opportunities for youth hunters, so ages 12 to 17. These are similar to our controlled hunts, but instead of being on a WMA, these are hosted on private lands that we have the privilege to work with. Often these are enrolled in the DMAP program or other areas that are looking for some additional antlerless harvest. For 2020, we have 8 hunts planned and 73 hunters that will be involved in each of those 8 hunts. We've also recently had a donation from the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Foundation to help bolster the program. Picked up some additional gear and equipment that we're excited to use here. Our first hunt starts this Friday, so we're going to be breaking that stuff in here shortly. Again, trying to focus on youth opportunities out there, getting smiles on kids' faces. Here's some of the equipment that the foundation helps donate. We've got game carts and hoists for after the shot care. We've got blinds. We've got chairs and shooting rests for the kids and parents. Again, we keep the parents involved in this youth hunt so that they can see and, again, help to get those kids out in the future. So that's a quick run through of our section. I want to thank you again for your time, and we look forward to continuing to provide assistance to the landowners and sportsmen of Oklahoma. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions of Josh?
Got 2 going on. Both of them will be out west. One's in Beckham County and one's in either the northern part of Beckham or Ellis County. Okay, both in Beckham. Yeah, both of them out west this coming weekend. But we've got them kind of spread out across the state. So there's one over in the northeast, Sequoia County, I believe, one in Love County. Like I said, we've got several out in Beckham. Again, trying to focus on some of those antlerless issues, overpopulation issues. So. Yes. So we were able to get all but 1 or 2, and part of that was some paperwork issues, just trying to get stuff signed and all that. Missed out on those, but again, with pairing it up with some of those other programs, the Partners Program and others, we've been able to catch up on our wait list right now. So we're actually doing good on that.
Josh, I had a question on your OLAP program, and I've seen a couple of properties and look like pretty good properties to me, but do you plan to get feedback from your participants, whether they're quail hunting, deer hunting, as far as survey? I mean,
Yes.
Were they successful on the property, or how many quail did they get, or?
Right, and I forgot to point that out as I was flipping through the pictures in there. In one of those pictures, you probably saw a mailbox kind of sitting up in there. So yeah, we've got on some of the properties survey cards that go out for hunters to fill out. I may kick it over to Jeff here as he heads it up. Primarily, it's more on use info, how far they drove to get there, that sort of stuff. I'm not so sure that it actually covers specific harvest information, but definitely trying to get a handle on, again, who's using these WMAs, how far are they coming, not WMAs, OLAP properties, how far are they coming to use them, all of that sort of information.
So when they, I've seen a mailbox there, I
Yes.
assume they filled out some information. If they harvest an animal or birds, do they put that back in the mailbox?
Yes, yeah, that would,
And
that's
then
the
how do you
collection
go
point.
pick up all of these on 80,000 acres?
Jeff and Jason,
With these guys?
they burn up a lot of miles, and,
Yeah.
yeah, even,
Okay.
again, spend a day, drive 3.5 hours up to the Panhandle, pick up cards, check signs, and 3.5 hours back, yeah. So that's part of why that additional technician was written into this new grant, because, yeah, they're focused out of Oklahoma City here, but covering the whole state, so yeah, they put on a
Follow up.
lot of miles.
Jeff makes it to Cimarron County in 3.5 hours from Oklahoma City. We need to stop.
Any other questions, Josh?
Jim just asked one.
You may have to repeat questions so people on the internet.
Yeah, so Commissioner Barwood was asking if we had complaints from hunters. Again, I'll kick it over to Jeff. You're always gonna have some complaints, but, again, similar to Quip, that's how the OLAP program has grown, is just word of mouth. So as, you know, if you have unhappy neighbors, you don't build out too much in that area. But, and the limited access that he brought up there, is again what several other states around have started doing, basically an app program to where you can sign up, reserve, you know, for limited slots within a hunting area. So it's not just, you know, open range, first come, first serve out there. It's signed up for, and again, that way we can control pressure on some of these particularly close to large urban areas.
Is there designated, parking areas just like on our WMAs, or how's that work?
So. In the Panhandle, we don't need it.
Well, great job to our private land biologists.
Thank you, guys. Okay, next on the item on the agenda is the National Bobwhite Quail Initiative Firebird Award, Bill Dinkins.
All righty, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on this, and then I'll turn it over to Tel. ODWC is part of a unified effort with 24 other state fish and wildlife agencies, as well as various conservation organizations. Part of that called the National Bobwhite Conservation Initiative, or NBCI. You may have heard that acronym floating around. Goals to restore wild populations of bobwhite quail across the country. This initiative has a Firebird Award to recognize an individual that has made a significant contribution to bobwhite restoration. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Tel Judkins, our upland game biologist, who also works with NBCI and other state quail coordinators, for this year's presentation of what I think you'll find a very deserving candidate.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to the commissioners and director for affording me the time today to come and present this award. Briefly, I want to say, included in your packet should have been the August survey. It is not the survey we want to see. I hope to be back next month to present the October survey results, to have a little bit better news going into season. And I'll be around all day if you have any questions. I'd love to talk quail after the meeting. But I want to turn our attention to former Commissioner John Groendyke. There's going to be a lot of things that I'm about to say that are going to be repeated multiple times throughout the day, but I just want to go on record and say I got to say them first. So, Mr. John Groendyke of Enid, Oklahoma, was appointed to the Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation Commission in 1976, and for the next 44 years, he faithfully served hunters and anglers of Oklahoma as a commissioner for District 8. The 8th district of the state includes much of the Northwest, known by many as quail country, including Cimarron, Texas, Beaver, Harper, Woodward, Woods, Major, Alfalfa, Grant, Garfield, Kay, and Noble counties. That's a lot of land to cover. He's the longest serving wildlife commissioner in the United States. A pretty heavy task to follow. The longest one in the United States. Has been and will continue to be an outstanding voice for upland species. ODWC's director, J.D. Strong, said no one in the country, let alone the state of Oklahoma, can touch the unmatched volunteer service and contributions to wildlife conservation made by John Groendyke during his unprecedented 44 years on the Oklahoma Wildlife Commission. He has been instrumental in the acquisition of more than 211,000 acres of public land, and his leadership as chairman of the Finance and Retirement Committee kept the agency on strong fiduciary footing. Throughout his tenure, he tirelessly advocated for actions that benefited the state's wildlife resources and the constituents that he served. Mr. Groendyke manages his property so that bobwhite, pheasant, and other upland species have a premier place to call home. He allows field days to visit his property to see what management he is utilizing to improve habitat quality. He has also been an outstanding advocate for youth participation in shooting sports as well as hunter recruitment. And while Mr. Groendyke has received several recognitions and accommodations over the years, I feel that it is important to shine a light on the impressive effort that he has put forth to further northern bobwhite conservation and hunting. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Groendyke for your unwavering support of one of Oklahoma's most iconic birds. You see every year with the National Bobwhite Conservation Initiative and National Bobwhite Technical Committee, as the quail coordinator or the representative for Oklahoma, I'm tasked with trying to find someone to recognize, to bestow this Firebird Award on. In the history of the award and the history of ODWC's partnership with the NBCI, we've only given it 3 times. The first one was to Laura McIver and Quail Forever for the outstanding work that they do in the state. Last year, I humbly presented it to the family of Alva Gregory for the outstanding work that he had done in Northwest Oklahoma before his premature passing. This year, I'm very happy to award it to none other than Mr. John Groendyke. As I said, you know, he's a man of many talents, many skills, and he's received of just about every award. The man that has everything, you have to name a building after him to really surprise him. But you know, with this award, anybody that's ever conducted a prescribed fire, turn around and look behind you, and you may have just had a covey of quail flying to you. And that is why, you know, we aptly named this award the Firebird Award. And I will go ahead and welcome Mr. Groendyke up to receive this plaque.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to receive this award, and in my 44 years, quail, I like it when they say, what happened to the quail this year? And as Wade Free is saying, well, there's about 50 things we probably ought to look at. Everyone wants to pick 1 or 2, and he says, it's the eye worms. That's exactly what it is. It's weather, it's too much rain at the wrong time, or no rain at all, and there's a lot of things out there that, as we all know, affect quail. But it's been a challenging. I think, you know, Alan Peoples was always to the point we either wanted to give him a bonus or we wanted to fire him because, gosh, we had an outstanding August roadside count. Where in the heck did they all go? and that's kind of the way it is this year. I know the August count was low, but, you know, I've had 2 or 3 people who've been mowing and, working on habitat projects and all, say, man, we're seeing lots of quail. I said, you're not drinking or something on the job here now, are you? But I think we have a chance, but usually the best thing is wait till the season opens and we'll know whether we have any whale hunting. But at least in north part of northwest Oklahoma, it looks better than it has the last couple of years. I think one of the great things we've done on quail management in Oklahoma is when I first went on the commission, everybody was in quail research and quail management. And we finally have got kind of a unified group of Quail Forever, Oklahoma State University, and their research that have supported the Texas program, which has been a major effort out there to look at a lot of different things in West Texas that also affects Western Oklahoma, and the volunteers and the work that's been put in. We've worked hard. I know we've done a lot of research on quail. We've done a lot of research on lesser prairie chicken. And I hope that's, I think it's providing a lot of good information and all. And we just have to keep working to see that we can maintain a good population of wild bobwhite quail in Oklahoma. So thank you very much for the award and appreciate it.
If you would, please allow us to move back to agenda item number 8. There's a couple items that JD wants to make mention of. JD?
Yeah, I apologize. I skipped over a couple of really important things in my notes during the director's report time. So one thing to make mention of is, you know, we talked about it back in the spring, pretty sizable increases in license sales we saw in the spring when COVID hit. Initially, it was a downturn as everybody was trying to figure out whether they could go outside or not. And then we started launching our Outdoors Are Always Open campaign, working with the health department, encouraging people to get outdoors, perfect place to socially distance. License sales have soared since then. And so just wanted to give you some updated numbers on that. Amanda, do you have the very latest at your fingertips? Maybe you could come to that, Mike. Save you a trip. Oh, is that making it harder for you to? You have to, is it on? Yeah, there you go.
So I did get the latest numbers, our calendar year to date, so not revenue for the. And 59% up from 2019. But we're showing up 41%.
Yeah, those archery numbers are huge. Think about that. Up 75% for the month of September and almost 60% over last year for archery licenses. So everybody's flinging arrows out there right now. And the last item I just wanted to update you on bear harvest, because bear harvest is underway, right? And if you haven't seen the picture, I think it, you know, we had it all over Facebook and everything else, but the governor actually was able to harvest his first bear opening day evening, Thursday evening. So, but we're currently at 47 bears checked in to date. So we only had 64 last year, 88 the year before that, which was our record year. So we'll see. It starts tapering off pretty fast right now as acorns start dropping and have been dropping really for a couple of weeks, I think. But stay tuned for more. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, JD. Under agenda item 13, under new business, discussion of any matter not known about or which could not have been reasonably foreseen 24 hours prior to the scheduled meeting. There being none. Okay, following the adjournment of this meeting, the commission will be attending a luncheon and a building dedication event for Commissioner John D. Grondak. Quorum may or may not be present. No official business will be conducted. No action will be taken following the adjournment of the Oklahoma City Regular Wildlife Conservation Commission meeting. The next date for our commission meeting will be November the 2nd, on Monday, 9 a.m. here in the Oklahoma City office. Thank you once again for attending today. We look forward to the rest of the afternoon. Thank you very much.